Love it. Great segue for today's call. And we got some good ones with us today. Mr. Schnitzer, paging Mr. Schnitzer, Mr. Lyons. Ah, there he is. Nice. Nice. I love the Symmetry swag.
He's got some
Way
swag.
too, man.
What's up,
Very
Symmetry
nice.
Nation?
What does he think about that beard when you want to kind of snuggle in with him? Is he
He's
into
getting
it, or is
used
he
to
kind
it.
of
Yeah,
all right?
he's getting comfortable.
That's good. I remember sometimes my beard would get too prickly when my kids are that little and they kind of shy away from it.
Got to use
So
the product,
yeah,
soften it up a little bit.
it's true. That's true. Man, thank you so much for joining us today. As I said earlier in the call, I don't know if people heard this, but most of your sales, if not 100% of your sales, are over the phone. They're not virtual. So the baby's not the key, the secret. The dog in the background is not the secret. Um, Beard ain't the secret. We're going to share what the secrets are today. And we also have the another holder of the secrets, Mr. Shawn Lyon. And I think the purpose and the point of today's call is very simple. What we want to do is give you a taste of what some of our most successful agents are experiencing with digital leads, and encourage you, hopefully motivate you or inspire you to pour yourself into the training that Shawn offers every week, every Thursday. Deep dive. Scott joins him some of the time. But we're not only going to talk a little bit about digital leads and your experience, we're going to give some tips and tricks how to work them properly, but also we're going to give some a high level tips on how to drive more sales through those leads through referrals. So, Scott, thank you for your time, man. Thank you for your willingness to share with the entire organization. I know that after talking with you on Monday, how much you pour into other agencies as well that are not even in your organization, and you're a great testament to the culture that we're continuing to try to build and maintain here. So big gratitude for you, buddy. And you got me so fired up after talking with you Monday that I've been excited about this call ever since, and been on the phone with Lyons and Resma probably more than they wanted. So thank you for
I
that, man.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here.
I think that to kind of get us started, can you just give us a little bit of your background, your history, how long you've been with the company, maybe what you were doing before then, and then we kind of go from there on, once you got contracted, your path to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say thank you to my upline, Tyler and Ashley Harris, for giving me the opportunity. Tyler worked on me for about 2 years subtly before I was licensed for one of those years before I finally dove in full time. But I came here from the
Let's stop
dealership.
right there because that is a really good tip.
Okay.
He tried to recruit you for a year. You even got licensed. He stayed in touch with you, didn't blow you out of the water. Actually, contracted your wife, Kate,
Mhm.
first, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
we actually hopped on every builder's call for a couple months just I mean, we were watching from the sidelines. We are like, is this something that we want to do? And for me, and she decided pretty quickly, she's like, I'm probably going to beat you to this. I want to get licensed. So she quit her corporate job, dove in full time. And then the rest was history from there. So it was
nice.
cool.
What type of corporate job did she have?
She worked in radio space. She sold digital marketing for the Buffalo Bills.
Man, they
Man,
need they needed her
rough
this
week.
year. Yeah, they needed her this year.
Yep.
Um, well, you and Shawn are in the same boat, and I'm a college football fan, so I'm kind of in the same boat too. We're all in this together. But so what were you doing when we found you? When
So
Tyler?
when Symmetry found me, I was at a dealership. My dad owned the dealership, and I was his sales manager. So it was a family business. I actually had full intentions of taking that over for him and helping him retire. So I'm sorry, Dad, that you can't retire as quickly as you wanted to. So, but I worked sales. We sold ATVs and side by sides, and had a lot of fun doing it. Built a pretty cool business. I brought in a boat line. We had some fun doing that. And yeah, it was kind of the reason why I wanted to come here, Brandon, because I was watching from the sidelines And one of the few companies that I identified that actually offers what they preach they offer. And I was getting half of what I wanted at my last job, in my last career. And that was that we were able to make some pretty good money, but I had to trade that for a lot of time. I was working 70 hours a week in a dealership. Um, I just remember coming home and getting my lunchbox ready for the next day. Like that's all I remember from that time frame because it was just so much. So yeah, that's what brought us here.
I mean, I'm glad that you took that leap. You know, a lot of people would be, they kind of get trapped in their comfort zone a little bit, even though they're not comfortable. They're comfortable doing or knowing at least what it is that they're doing. And so, for you guys to take that leap, I think says a lot about you. And I think also for Tyler, as I said, is just keep plugged in and to keep maintaining contact and understanding when the time is right, the time will be right. You know. Um, did you blow it out of the water when you first got started?
I crushed it. My first year here that I was licensed, I wrote 11 applications for 11,200 in APV. So I absolutely crushed it. It was so good.
Nice, nice. So walk us down, just kind of through that journey a little bit. You know, you got started, you were working mostly, if I remember right, bonus leads.
Yep.
Okay, that
Started
would have been
working bonus leads.
22.
Yep.
That
Go
would
ahead.
be that would have been in, what did you say, May of 22?
Yeah, so I started diving into to Sean's training into dabbling in digital leads in May 22. I
Okay,
started in September.
okay,
So it was a journey to get here. No, I'm sorry. We started digital leads May of 23. You got me thrown off a little bit.
23.
We started full time in September of 22, and we started with a mixture, call-ins, bonus leads. Um, Early on, I was hitting $300 a week plus and spending a lot of time nurturing those opportunities into an appointment. I remember there was even $500 weeks. Like it was just relentless because I wanted to make this work. And if you've ever left a family business and started something new, you got to kind of prove it to your family that you're going to make it work because that door didn't fully close on me, but I knew that I just needed to prove it to myself that I made the right choice. And so I spent those months early on trying to prove it to myself that I made the right choice. So that was a lot of dials, a lot of time in the office, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings. We
Mhm.
started recruiting right away and got some good people on board. We were able to hit agency owner in our first 6 months here together. And Kate is a great recruiter, so hats off to her. But it was just something that we walked in as owners. We wanted to own the process and in the Symmetry system, and that's how it was before what we're going to talk about today
Yeah,
was make 300 to 400 dials, sit on 15 appointments a week, and don't stop.
yeah, and you were successful doing that. And so let's kind of get right into it. And Sean, I want you to just feel free to jump in and ask any questions I'm forgetting. Also, in the Q&A down there, guys, we have a lot of really good people in the on the call today to answer some questions for you. So if you have any questions, anything that you want us to hit, please put your info here in the Q&A. We'll do our best to monitor that. But let's just kind of start with, what is your overall philosophy of kind of working leads? What are you really trying to accomplish um, when you're calling leads? Obviously, what you're trying to accomplish is to make a sale and to help a family, and then from there to kind of drive depth in that sale to get more sales from that same lead. But before that, you know, what is your goal when a lead comes in?
Goal when a lead comes in is to take care of them as quickly as I can. This is one thing that I heard from Shawn super early on. For those of you who are new to digital leads, you've got an 80% better chance closing that lead and helping them out if you get to them within the first 30 seconds to minute of that lead coming in. But we all know what happens when that lead doesn't answer, right? You sometimes don't hear from them for a while, and that's kind of where I've kind of adapted this process of just having grace and patience with our leads. And Shawn talks a lot about this on the deep dives that there's a sales wall, if you will, created every time someone gets into a sales setting. And oftentimes us as salespeople, we don't really help out with that because we're excited. we're on fire to help somebody out, and that comes across sometimes is putting up more walls that are harder to take down. So I didn't start doing this right away. This was learned over time, but I learned that having grace and patience with your leads and really knowing that this is an engagement tool, using Switchboard and working digital leads is an engagement process. And we don't have to close those leads on the first call, the first day that they come in. I found a lot of success in working with clients that maybe came in 3, 4, 5 months ago through re-engagement techniques. And
Mhm.
Shawn, thank you so much, man. I'm just going to keep saying deep dive because
Yeah.
that's where all this stuff was taught, and it wasn't made up by me. I'm just replicating a process that I saw was effective because Shawn likes numbers, and he threw out a bunch of fancy numbers, and he's like, I've tested this over thousands and thousands of agents, and I'm like, okay, I got you. I'm gonna run this play. So yeah, it was kind of learned through time, but
Yeah. So
patience and grace.
yeah, we'll get into that re-engagement campaign. So I want to just reiterate what you're saying. I mean, your goal, you want to have patience and grace. You want to help the family. Even more than that, I think your goal is to get on the phone with them as quickly as possible so that you can begin building a relationship, right? To take this kind of cold nature that, this transactional nature kind of out of their mind and really be somebody or something different than generally what they were expecting. They were expecting a life insurance agent to call them and to kind of strong arm them into something, but
Yeah.
that's not your philosophy.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you've gotten a lead on, I can't see any of you, but raise your hand if you've gotten a lead on a Sunday, right? And that may be your family day, right? And this is a perfect example of that. I told Brandon on Monday I got really obsessed with this process early on. And part of that was taking the coaching that I got and applying it. And so that 30-second to a minute rule even applies on Sundays. And I remember back, we just moved from Louisiana up to Buffalo, New York in September. And that was also my biggest production month. I submitted 54,000 in APV that month. It's the biggest one. Hopefully this month is going to be the biggest, but we'll see. That month I was busy packing the house. We had a going away party that Sunday that I got 5 out of my 10 leads that came through. And I'm at the house with the entire family. And this is why it was so important to get obsessed, because the fear of jumping on that opportunity, it went away because I ran the play so many times. I memorized the play. I can tell you, if you guys use the lead cadence script, I've got that thing memorized. It just comes out. So yeah, Shawn's like pumping his fist. It's just, it's one of those things I had to learn. But so take you back to that Sunday. I have a family party going on. They're sending us off to Buffalo, New York, and we've got a bunch of family at the house, and we get 5 out of our 10 leads that come in. And this is part of building the relationship early that you will not get the opportunity to if you don't act quick. The opportunity actually lessens over time. So I would step out for 5 minutes. I would call that lead. I'd say, hey, Brandon, this is Scott. I just got your request, for some life insurance quotes. And I got to be completely honest. My family's throwing me a going away party today, and they're waiting for me to come back from the other room. But I wanted you to make sure that you knew you were taken care of. And I also wanted to set up a time with you tomorrow to go over your options with you. How does that sound? And so that started a good relationship because they know I'm human. They know I've got things going on. It's a Sunday. They may not want to work on a Sunday either. Don't count that out because it happens all the time, but it started a relationship. And then, if on the other side of that, a lot of agents will get that lead and they're like, man, I got to close this on my first opportunity. Well, grace and patience is the way to work these leads. Not everyone wants to be closed in on the first call. A lot of people do. So, if you understand that and you take the time to set yourself up with an appointment, Brandon, I was telling people, and I still do, like, hey, I'm a professional. I like to take my time to make sure that I've shopped all of the options for you and come up with a plan that suits your family best. And so, Brandon, what I'll do is I'll go to work for you today, when I leave my family party, and I'm going to get back with you tomorrow and go over those options with you, with your permission. How does that sound?
How many
So
of your leads do you work that way? In other words, you said some people may be ready to kind of get it done on the first try. Do you allow them to get it done on the first call if that's what they're wanting to
I've
do?
only done one call close. Hats off to all y'all that make it happen. I've only done one call close, sold a couple hundred policies since last year. It's just not it's not my style because I know and Brandon, we talked about this on Monday. I know what comes from creating a relationship with someone, and we may get that first sale, but what I'm after, it really is helping their whole family out. And I want to be able to serve multiple family members. And we talked a lot about persistency on the AO call right before this. Persistency is going to be better. And this is one of the things I struggled with so much. Like I would write 19K and place 7. I would write, a couple policies and I'll get an email from Mutual of Omaha saying that it had bounced back because there wasn't a trust factor there built for them to be honest with me about their health situation. And there wasn't a trust factor built for me to sell and help their family out with multiple policies. So those two reasons kind of shot my persistency and placement rate. So yeah, I don't favor the one call close, although I'm open to it if someone's really pressing me, but I want to start that relationship because I know what comes from it. And we're going to talk about hopefully referrals tomorrow on the deep dive call, Shawn, and kind of go over that process. But it was so amazing once I got over that fear of like needing to close someone right away and needing to just get everything done. It really opened up the door for me to build a relationship with them and to have a true connection so that when I did ask for something, the ask was fulfilled. And that's kind of started the new referral process for us.
Yeah, I mean that's really good. I think Casey and I had the same philosophies, right? When we were in the field. I mean, that's what we were trying to do is you try to build a relationship to where back then people would want to invite you over to their house. Right now, it's so that people probably, it's a lie down when you say, hey, I'm going to give you a call back tomorrow. Is there a time period that is really important for you in terms of how many hours outside of that initial call are you trying to stick within 24, 48 hours to book
Yeah,
that
I always
appointment?
try to stick within 24. That's kind of the rule of thumb for me. Learned that also from Shawn. Gonna plug the deep dive calls again. There's statistics that show it's going to be a better opportunity if it's within the first 24. Oftentimes I feel like when people push it out a week, it's just another objection that you got to get through, you
Yeah.
know. And Brandon, when you connect with people like that, and I'm sure you realize this, they're going to tell you their schedule. They're going to tell you everything they got going on. They're going to let you know when they are available and when they aren't. So when you rattle off a few times for the next day, you're actually taking what you've learned from them to cater to their schedule and put yourself in their schedule when it works for them. And then it's a win-win situation for both of us. If you're a teacher, I know I got to call you at 4:30. We're not calling you during recess or while you're teaching, history. So it's got to be that relationship that helps you actually set the appointment too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What are some tips maybe you could give people that maybe this would be a little newer to them in terms of how to connect in that first call? Because I think you said it earlier that, your first few minutes on the phone are so important. How do you do that? How do you make sure that they are at least open to you beginning to build this relationship?
Yeah. I feel like we naturally want to build rapport with someone um, that has nothing to with like topics that have nothing to do with life insurance. And frankly, that just doesn't work for me right away. I've got to stay on the reason why they contacted us so that
Hmm.
they know I'm a professional and they know that my head's in the game. And so I want to ask really, really good questions that open them up to share more with me about their family that have to do with life insurance. Why is this important to you, Brandon? Who are we going to be protecting tomorrow when we meet up? And those type of questions, if you say them with the right tonality, are going to get them to think, oh man, it's important. I had this guy tell me the other day, he goes, it's super important to me because my wife keeps bugging me about it. And I've got 2 daughters, they're 12, but I really just love my dog and I want to get the coverage in place for him. And he was joking a little bit, but then we were able to open up that door. He has a golden retriever at home. I've got a golden retriever at home. Like we became buds on that call. So
Hmm.
I ask life insurance related questions, mortgage protection related questions just to open the door. And then whatever comes from there, it's good. Keep the connection quick and short if you need to and reschedule that appointment. But don't leave that first phone call without getting something from them that's going to help you close the sale.
What else are you accomplishing on that first appointment? You have a client qualification form.
Yep.
Like you're trying to get as much information from them regarding this policy so that you can go do the shopping, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Client qualification form is fully filled out. And that's the point where I'm kind of stopping the automations on Switchboard. We talk about utilizing that tool effectively. I want to get to know as much as possible on that call so that we don't have to keep going back to text messaging or asking for more information. And then I'm setting the stage for them for the next phone call, Brandon. I'm letting them know exactly what my role and purpose is. I'm telling them how the next appointment's going to go. I like to
Can
spell it
you
out.
let's role play that for me real quick? How do you tell them what your role and purpose is?
Yeah, Brandon, my job for you, since I work for you and not the carriers, is to do all the shopping for you. That way you don't have to look around with 20, 30 different carriers. I know there's a lot of good ones out there. I'm licensed with all the best ones, all the A-rated companies. So I'm lucky to get to do that. So I'll do all the shopping for you. But in the meantime, I'm also going to kind of cater that to what works best for your family, for what you've already told me about them. And in the meantime, before we meet on the call tomorrow, I just want you to be prepared to answer a few health questions. There's going to be no medical, Brandon. You don't have to go in and get stuck with a needle or anything like that. We're going to make it super easy on you. And if we can find something that works for your family, we can talk about the possible next steps of filling out an application, getting it over to the underwriter so that they can consider you.
Love it.
So write this down. I'll give them my name, number. We'll book an appointment, schedule it for the next day. But I found if you've built enough connection with them through that call, and I did not do this early on because I was so scared. I was like, please just show up. Like, I don't want to tell them all the things they have to go through, but I think communication is kindness to them because they're going to feel like, gosh, I know exactly what I'm stepping into. So if their intent really is to get a policy and they show up, we're writing a policy. And that'll crush your closing percentage because the people who do show up, they're your clients.
Yeah. Roughly what percentage that show up do you close?
I don't know. Shawn, do you have that number?
All of them.
I think 85.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone who shows up is my client. There's rare situations where they're not because I've set the stage up so much. Now, show percentage is probably not the best, but those that do show up, those people are writing policies because they know what they're walking into.
Yeah. I bet show percentage is probably pretty dang good too, Shawn, if I had to guess. So next day you do the application. We can kind of get into that maybe a little bit later. You guys can get into that on the deep dives on maybe the fundamentals of what that actual appointment kind of looks like. The goal is that you're writing an application. Hopefully you're getting them approved on the spot. If you write that product, maybe it's not on the spot. Sometimes it may take a few days, whatever the case may be. What are you doing after that appointment? Let's say that a sale is made. What's the next step for you?
So next steps, there's kind of two spinoffs here. First and foremost, I want to make sure that they know that we're chatting again. I'm not just going to talk to them one time. I'm going to be there for them going forward. So the thing that I started doing that really changed the game for me is that I started booking an appointment from that appointment. And that appointment is typically going to be about 5-6 days after we write the application. And that gives the carrier enough time to approve them, to get their policy issued. If it's a carrier that's pretty quick, they're going to actually get their policy in the mail probably a couple days later, if not digitally. So we're booking an appointment for 5 to 6 days later. And the goal for me is to let them know, like, Brandon, I'm going to be able to go over your policy with you, answer all the questions that you have about that policy, make sure that you feel super comfortable and confident of what's in place for your family. And so I'm going to put this in my calendar. I'll talk to you then. Now, there's two different spinoffs here. And I want to talk. Do you want to talk about referrals?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Who wants to learn about referral process? I learned this from a few people. Actually, I got to give credit to Eleanor McNamara. She's a great producer on our team, and she shared some of these techniques with me. And
Cool.
Shawn and I have kind of ramped it up from there. The first referral spinoff from your appointment. So if you are making a great connection, you've got a client, they're a friend now. You're letting them know that you're booking an appointment to go over their policy with them. The first spinoff for referrals is building their emergency contact list. The people that would be in charge of activating the policy if something happened to them. And Resma spoke on the last call. How many billions of dollars was it, Brandon, that goes unclaimed per year?
What do you say, Shawn?
It was a big number.
It was a big number.
We got to be able to share that with our clients. So maybe we'll put that on tomorrow's call.
Resma may still be on. I know he's on earlier. He may have had to hop off, but yeah, we'll figure that out.
So billions of dollars go unclaimed, Brandon. I don't want that to happen to your family. You're working hard to make sure this policy stays in place. I want to make sure that they get, what you set up for them, which is the life insurance payout. So I'm actually going to give your beneficiaries a call tomorrow, Brandon, and make sure that they know exactly what you did for them, that they know how to get a hold of me, that they know how to contact me if anything happens to you. Now we fast forward to that phone call, because you got to follow through with your word on this. If you tell them you're calling your beneficiaries, call their beneficiaries. Those are your first 2, maybe 3 referrals that you're going to get from this process. So step 2 would be calling those beneficiaries. You hop on the phone with them. Hey, your dad, Brandon, set up a policy for you. My name's Scott Schnitzer. You know, I'm his life insurance agent. He actually wanted me to give you a call and make sure that I took care of 2 things with you today. One, he wanted to make sure that you had my contact information so that you knew how to actually activate a policy if something happened to your dad. Secondly, he wanted me to make sure that you were also covered and taken care of with some life insurance. And Brandon, I've got those few options pulled for you. Of course, it's going to take a few questions to figure out if that was the right choice. And are you available to go through those now, or do you want me to give you a call back later today?
What do they usually say? 50-50 on whether or not they do it then or later?
Most of the time they wanted to just say, hit me with it. So we go through a client qualification form, we start building a relationship, and we book an appointment for the next day.
What percentage of those people do you feel like you're closing that come from that specific part of your referral system? The beneficiaries.
Unless they already have a big portfolio, all of them. I feel like if they don't have, and this is in I took 1 lead last week. We now have 6 family members, or it's a couple weeks ago, to have 6 family members already signed up through this referral program. And she was so great. This is one of the things that I'll offer people. People like gifts. They like feeling appreciated. It doesn't have to be a big gift. But if you're getting to know people, I shared this example with Brandon on the last call, and I had a contractor. She's 63 years old, maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. She's working in Washington State in the freezing cold rain right now. And she was talking to me about how cold her construction jobs are and that she's pushing through the season, all that good stuff. So we sent her a pair of weatherproof Carhartt gloves, and that touched her soul. And she was very thankful that we were, paying attention to her on the call. So she calls me back and she gave me a few referrals. Now, out of these referrals, she also told me, she's like, I would not give you anyone that's not ready to buy. All 3 of these people need policies right now. So that was a really cool situation. And I think I'm going to continue to build her, what I call her vein in her family. Danny Young mentions a lot about farming a vein once you have one. If you find a good recruit, they're going to know a lot of good people. So you got to mine that vein. Same thing with a good client. If you meet a good client, they're going to know a lot of good clients. So you got to mine that vein too. And I was scared to do that early on because I just wanted to slam dunk the sale, get the deposit, and move on to the next one because I had so many leads. I was buying 40, 50 B leads a week and trying to manage all the time and all the effort that it went into getting those on the phone. I didn't want to waste one. Well, how does it sound to get 6 free leads? That sounds a little bit better.
Yeah, and you were busy, but I think we all kind of went through this. We saw a lot of hands go up on the AO mastermind call, but I think a lot of people are also just ready to get out of that situation because I made a sale. I need to get out of here before they change their mind. I need to, so it's part of getting on to the next one because we're really busy, but it's also, I don't know, this is weird anxiety if you haven't been in the business long enough to think that you've sold them versus helped them. And if you can change your mindset to say, I actually just helped them get what they were looking for, there's no need for me to rush away and leave this. I think that that's part of you feeling really confident in the relationship building process that you've built too. So we've talked about kind of the beneficiary part of referrals. Do you stop there or do you ask? Because I'm sure a lot of people have beneficiaries that are going to be their wife or their husband or their kids or their, whatever the case may be. So what do you do if the beneficiary thing may not work?
Yeah, so that's kind of step 2 in the process because that's going to happen the next day because you're letting them know, hey, I'm calling your beneficiaries tomorrow. They're going to know exactly what's in place for them. The third step to that would be on that follow-up call when you're doing the policy review. It's 6 days later now. They've got their policy in hand. It's been emailed to them or it's been mailed to them. That call is really to answer any questions that they still have hanging in the air, just to make them feel super confident they're taken care of. 99% of the time, I don't get any questions about the policy. We're just chit chatting, making sure they're happy, maybe following up on a conversation that we had on the previous call. This is your opportunity, since you've earned it now, policies issued. This is your opportunity to give them your ask. And you're asking for referrals. And this is where the referral play comes in. Hey, is there anyone in your circle that I can help do the same thing? I like to give out a gift for anyone that you throw my way that ends up getting a policy. And so I will say that, and I'll shut my lips and I'll sit there quietly, and sometimes for 30 seconds, and let them think about it. And they start thinking and they start thinking. And then finally they list off a name. And right after I write it down with the phone number, I say, who else? And then I say, who else? And then I say, who else? And I actually write 1 through 6 on the back of my client qualification forms. And my goal is to say who else until we get all 6 of those. And then to follow up with that, Brandon, is it okay if I reach out to them? Get their permission, so that when you call that client, your future client, you're going to be able to tell them, hey, Brandon told me to call you. And that takes it from being a cold call to being a, let's do this. You know, Brandon, I love Brandon. I work with him, you know,
Nice.
or whoever the referral came from. So
What
just starts the
percentage of
connection.
those, Scott, what percentage of those do you sell? Those referrals?
I'm horrible with numbers, Brandon. I don't know. It's pretty good.
You can ballpark it. Yeah. I mean, do you think that, like, is it 50-50? Is it maybe 20-30% of the people are open to it?
It's probably 30% chance. I put a lot of pressure on myself every week in a certain way. I only buy 10 leads. And so these relationships are so important to me. If I didn't have them, I would not be able to do volume. So by putting that pressure on myself, I know I only got 10 opportunities a week. I buy digital leads. All right. I'm getting a couple lighthouse leads, mortgage protection side, a couple life side. That switches ever so often, but they're all digital. And so these are high intent leads when they come in, but we know out of the 10 that you get, you might only work with 3 of them this week. Another 3 of them may be your client next week or the week after, because of the re-engagement the switchboard offers. And so if you're working this and you're brand new, don't give up on your lighthouse leads after the first week. If you only sell 2 of them, those are going to be your clients for the next couple of weeks. But I know that.
But there's a
Right?
very specific process that you guys can get into, and you can kind of give a highlight of it, because it's not going to work if they're just continuing to text them or continuing to call them or whatever 2 or 3 weeks down the road. Like, tell us about the process that you guys have figured out.
Well,
The re-engagement.
This is Shawn's process.
What do you say, Shawn?
Yes. A couple of things, re-engagement is based on understanding that not interested means not interested right in that moment. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be interested in a week from now or 5 days from now. Just because that person doesn't answer or reply to your text or answer your phone call right now doesn't mean that I can't send them a short text to re-engage with them. And it's very, very simple. And one of the things, and you've heard me say this a million times, Brandon, is understanding that when somebody doesn't reply to your messaging, or when somebody starts texting with you and then ghosts you, or even when someone has an appointment that they no-show, one of the reasons why that person doesn't respond to you is because they have contact resistance based on that action. Like, I'm not going to respond to you, Brandon, because I've never responded to your messages before. And one of the things that Switchboard allows us to do is it allows us timing. You know what I mean? So if today that person isn't interested, I can send them a very short text to get that person back in the process. And it's very simple. Hey, Brandon, this is Scott Schnitzer. I've sent you a few messages. I'm still trying to get those quotes over to you that you requested to protect your mortgage in your home for your family. I am so sorry. I've been buried with client calls. Our office has been extremely busy. I can get those quotes over to you with a few questions over text. You okay with that? And you would be absolutely shocked at the number of people, because you've kept it concise, because you pulled that mantle of contact resistance and disarmed them, like Mike was saying before. Because you've done that, now that avenue of engagement is opened up for you. And like Scott was saying before, we have a very linear, clear path on how to administrate that lead through text, utilizing the templates to get them on the phone with me in 2 or 3 days or 24 hours even.
How
I like to
successful has that been for you, Scott? Give me some proof in the
Oh
pudding.
my gosh. This is everything. This is all learned through the deep dives, but those re-engagement texts have given me so much time back in my weeks because I don't have to dial them all week to get them back on the phone. This is what I do on a Sunday. I'm a wrestling coach right now. My Saturdays are completely taken up with wrestling tournaments, so I don't dial those days anymore. But on a Sunday, I'm coming into that day. I can sit down at my desk for 15 minutes and send out a bulk text, just like Shawn was talking about, to 150 clients. And I can say, I actually like to apologize sooner, Shawn. I'm taking responsibility early on. I say, hey, this is Scott Schnitzer. I am so sorry I've not been able to get a hold of you yet about the quotes that you requested. Do you mind answering a few questions over text so I can get those over to you? And it's so short that they can read it without having to scroll. They're not giving up on you or turning you off. They're going to read that. All you need, this is all you need to start the lead cadence script. Yes.
Yes,
The moment they say yes, how many times does it take you to dial B leads to get someone on the phone? No knock against B leads. It just takes a little bit more work to get them on the phone, right? So we send out one text to 150 clients. My average on that size of a text is about 6 to 7 appointments for the week. And we're going through a step 1 through 10, copy and paste, because I haven't figured out how to use the automations yet. I'm still copy and pasting. It works for me, but I'm sending them exactly what Shawn laid out with his team, what to say and when. And so it starts off with this. Okay, Shawn, if texting works better for you, I just need to confirm the information you submitted. Shawn Lyons, 31 years old, male, lives in Texas, looking for $500,000 worth of life insurance. Does everything look okay? What do you need back? Just a simple yes. And then you copy and paste the next one. Great. Go from there. And it's 1 through 10. So I try not to add anything to that unless the client goes off on a tangent. I'm following step by step by step until we get to number 10, which is, hey, the next steps for us, Brandon, is to hop on the phone with each other. Oh, I'm sorry. The next steps for us is to verify your identity and go over those options with you. It takes about 5 minutes and we do that over the phone. Should I call you this afternoon or sometime tomorrow?
Love the verify identity line because everybody should understand that, right? You need to make sure we're not writing insurance policies on people that aren't who they say they are. So,
and if they want to hide behind the text a little bit, like Shawn was talking about, these clients didn't answer our first or second or third phone call. These clients prefer texting. If they're going to get back to you, you got to do it with grace. And one of the things that I love about that text lead cadence is it asks them why getting this coverage is important to them. What were you hoping this coverage could do for you? You're going to get their why, even if you didn't hop on the phone and spend 30 minutes chit-chatting with them about life. You're going to get a small why from them and be able to use that on your appointment the next day.
Can I ask you something, Scott? Screen time versus utilizing the switchboard app. What would you say your percentages are? How often are you chained to your desk, sitting in front of your laptop, and how often are you utilizing the switchboard app to nurture those leads into an appointment?
I think I'm like 75% phone app, 25% computer, if not more. I think the phone app is incredible. I get leads on a Saturday. I'm at a tournament. I pop out into the hallway and fire off the first lead cadence text if they don't answer. I am on that app all day. If they're responding, I'm responding. And it's kind of like the Burger King way. You get to have your way. So whenever they respond, I'm responding, right? There's no need to dial them 6 times in a day if they're not a hot lead, right? You want to work with the people that are engaging, and Shawn's built smart lists to identify those clients and who is the most recent engaged client by the last activity filter in the smart list. So we can find out who those clients are very quickly.
I got some good questions coming in the Q&A down here. Do you still dial your leads 3 times in a row if the goal is to be calm and patient?
So we have kind of changed that up a little bit. Digital leads. The play that Shawn teaches is to call them twice right when the lead comes in. And guys, this is word for word verbatim in the digital lead cadence script. It's going to tell you, I don't know why that thumbs up just came on there.
I don't know, but I like it.
I like it. It's going to tell you dial twice and then send this text. It's going to say 30 minutes later, dial once, then send this text. And then it's going to say 3 to 4 hours later, dial once, and then send this text. So within the first 24 hours, yeah, you're dialing them 4 times, but that's within 24 hours. That's when the lead is the hottest. But they're also getting a nice follow-up text saying, hey, Shawn, I didn't want to drop the ball in getting you those quotes you requested. Should I call you tomorrow, or does text work better? And you're taking the pressure off of that client and allowing them to respond however they want to. That way you guys can be friends when you hop on the phone and not have them yell at you and say, why have you been blowing me up? I'm blocking you. So it's comfortable. It's smooth. I just feel like it wasn't like that early on for me. And I do want to bring this part up, Brandon, is we didn't have the lead cadence script when I first started working digital leads. I was fighting them just as much as I was fighting my B leads to get them on the phone and get them closed. I got obsessed with this once it came out because I didn't have to do any of the work. I just had to follow the coaching that was being provided and the scripting that was being provided. And through that, I mean, you're going to be able to nurture more leads. You're going to be able to be more engaged with them and have better connections, because Shawn and his team have put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into this. Like, it's not just thought up overnight. Like, hey, try this. It's actually proven to get more people engaged. So I took that when I showed up here in 22, I didn't even know the difference between term and whole life. So I had a whole lot to learn. And this is one of the things that I was like, all right, I'll just take the coaching so I don't have to create it myself.
You know,
You ever leave a voicemail?
Great question. So I would never leave a voicemail unless I have had a great conversation with them. And by great
relationship. Yeah.
Yep. Because I don't want them to hear like my tone of voice or my cadence or get offended by something that I said. I'm like tiptoeing into these relationships. I'm not coming in hot. So by leaving a voicemail, they might say like, wow, that guy's a fast talker. I don't want to work with someone like that. They can't see my beard, luckily. I'm not scaring them away or anything, but they can hear my voice. And if they don't like what I said, if I said y'all too many times, and they're like, oh, this Southern guy ain't gonna be able to help me out. I don't know. I don't know about him. So I don't leave the voicemail, but once I've had a great conversation with them, feel free to leave a voicemail. They already know your voice. You've already connected with them. It's just, hey, Brandon, this is Scott trying to get you back on my schedule. What works best for you? Yeah.
Man, there's a ton of engagement, a ton of questions down here. And here's what we wanted to do. All of this is what's covered on the Thursday deep dive calls. Scott will be there. Shawn will be there. Other successful agents and agency owners will be there. Impossible to answer all these questions. But what I will tell you is that every single question that I've seen for the most part is put it in your calendar as a non-negotiable. You use the word, Scott, obsessed. And I love that word when used in this context, right? You can be obsessed about some bad things. Be obsessed about the life that you're wanting to create. You know, we're not trying to earn a living. We're trying to earn a life. And that's what you've done, Scott, is you took the time to say, hey, and we were laughing on the last call because I said, you know, it can't just be about money. It's got to be about a lot of the other things that the money brings. And your comment was, yeah, but I'm here to get rich. I'm like, absolutely, man. Everybody is here to get rich. But what does that do for you? What does that wealth do for you? What does that time do for you? Because I think a lot of people may have gotten away from managing activity or thinking that Switchboard was going to manage activity more for them than otherwise noted. You're still having to manage a lot of calls. You're still having to manage a lot of activity. How much less time, though, are you working when you're doing Switchboard the right way, when you're engaging digital leads on the platform the right way? How much time are you actually freeing up versus where you were, you know, a year or so ago?
The good thing that Shawn just mentioned is you have this app on your phone. You can be anywhere and work this, but I relentlessly work it because I know what I want here. I know what I need to make happen. I've got a lot of things going on outside of Symmetry that I am extremely passionate about. I'm passionate about Symmetry. I love this opportunity, but it fuels all my passions outside of here. I'm a new dad. I had Liam on a couple minutes ago. I'm involved at the church. I'm a wrestling coach. This is wrestling season right now. I like to do Ironmans with Jordan Shank. We run ultra marathons. We train for a lot of stuff. So all these things that I love doing outside of here, they cost money and none of them pay me. I'm a volunteer coach. So there's no paycheck for that. But I really see this as an opportunity to make a really good income. And I said on the AO call, I just flat out said it. I was like, I want to get rich here so that I can be all of myself everywhere else, so that I can give my time everywhere else, whether it's a volunteer opportunity or a coaching opportunity. So I got obsessed because I saw a switchboard and working digital leads as an opportunity to do that and save me time, where I was going from 60-hour weeks at the desk, calling B leads and working my process there. That went down to maybe 30 hours of a sales process a week.
And
If
how much
that,
production have you done so far this month?
I think we're right at 43,000.
$43,000 in production,
Yep.
10 leads a week.
10 leads a week. This is also what I noticed. My first year working analog leads, I wrote 99 applications for 96K. That's a $978 case size. My first 6 months working digital leads, I wrote 106 apps for 128K. That's a $1,200 case size. The previous 5 months, we're not even through the 5th month yet. That includes this month. I've done 91 apps for 192K at a $2,100 case size. So these are higher intent, higher case sizes, quicker transition. Like I'm working through my phone while I'm not driving, but after a wrestling practice, I come out and I've got 3 text messages and I'm working that opportunity and booking them into an appointment. So why this matters to me is because it's giving me time to be a dad right now. Like we've got a newborn at home. I change diapers all day. It's giving me time to be the coach that I want to be. I run 5, 6, 7 one-on-ones a week with the leaders on my team that I'm building right now. I'm on 7 to 10 hours of training calls a week. And I want people to remember this and hear this. Training is important if you use the training that's given, because those 7 to 10 hours, I wouldn't trade for anything. They're non-negotiables. And that's between huddles with the team, training with Shawn's team, and training that Symmetry provides, Wednesday national calls, things like that. So those 7 to 10 hours a week that I'm spending on those trainings, that's part of my obsession so that I can master this quicker and be more effective. And so like, I'll get a question, and this question does actually come up a lot. Like, Scott, can you sit on the phone with me for an hour and just help me understand switchboard? And that's part of the mastery that has come over 1,000 hours probably at this point of learning switchboard and digital leads, working with Shawn's team and diving into the deep dives, no pun intended. But that came through really getting obsessed with it. And that gave me mastery in this area. I can't teach that in an hour. That's learned through hundreds of hours of work. So while you're taking massive action, you got to also get trained up and get skilled up. That's a very important part of this business.
How important has it been for your organization to see you as the leader do these deep dives and master working digital leads?
I feel like you're kind of, it's like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree kind of thing. Like if you want your team to become something, you got to be that something that you want your team to become, especially at the size of our team, Brandon. We're not a giant team. So oftentimes I'm the power source. And so if I wasn't doing the thing and working the thing, my people wouldn't be doing it or working it at this point. It's I see you do, I do. I see you on this call. I hop on this call. So I'm bringing as many of them as I can with me to all these things that I'm plugging into. And also I'm not giving away all the answers right away, because I think this is important. If someone does text me and ask me, or gives me a call and says, can we hop on the phone and go through switchboard for an hour? Like, I absolutely can't answer a few of your questions, but I'm going to tell you, I want you to go back to all the sales deep dives in the sales or in the video catalog. And I want you to watch 1 or 2 of them a day until you're all the way caught up. And once you do that, a lot of your questions are going to go away. So it's being the power source because I'm doing it, but also traffic copying them because I know that they can do it too.
Yep. Do you feel like everything that you have done and everything that you currently do is duplicatable? Others can do it.
I feel that way. I feel like if everyone, and I saw this comment on our last call, it was in the text thread. I'm so glad to hear about digital leads today. I've gone back to B5s after losing faith in digital leads. And that kind of hit me. I'm like, well, as long as the person answers the phone, like you get to be you and run your process. So This is just going to save you a lot of time. So I'm glad that someone commented that. You got to get relentless and go after this. And look, if you take the next 6 months and really focus on this, because that's what it took me. I started in April of 23 or 22. Yeah, 23 with digital leads. And I only wrote $4,200 in business in April. I fell flat on my face because it was brand new. I got digital leads coming in. I got a text message notification that they just dropped. It was kind of like a train wreck. And I started freaking out, but I told myself, I said, after meeting Shawn at AOA, I said, I believe in this guy. I believe in what he's doing. I believe in what his team teaches. And so I got obsessed with it from there. AOA was in April, I believe. And over those few months, I struggled. But if you go deep for 6 months on anything and you practice it every single day and you engage with it every single day, you'll be blown away at what this can do. Because now the $50,000 months could still happen with any type of lead, but it's now cutting my time in half. Like I just shared the average case size with you guys for a reason. It's cutting my time in half now to get places quicker. So I really feel like if you dive into this and you really just get obsessed with it, it's going to pay you back.
Yeah, cutting your investment down too. And I will say, I know we're over time. I'll just say that, you know, I think the job of the leader in a lot of ways is to show that example, because you will condense time frames for those behind you. You're already doing that, meaning they get to use your experience as their benefit, but they got to dig in. They got to become obsessed. They got to be committed to it. And I love what you're saying about what are non-negotiables. Working on yourself is a non-negotiable. Pouring into yourself in these trainings is a non-negotiable. You know, just because you're not sitting at a desk talking to newer agents for 40 or 50 hours a week doesn't mean that you couldn't be or you shouldn't be. You should be getting better at your craft, you know, and that's really hard, I think, Scott, for a lot of people because they're so used to work looking a different way, you know, as opposed to just self-improvement, just getting better. And that's what we mean by work on yourself more than your business so that you can become the person that gets the results that people like Scott are getting. You're just a great example, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you pouring into the team. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern, right? 11 o'clock Eastern?
Yes,
My
sir.
time's right. Deep dive with the sales experts. These guys will be on. They'll be able to answer questions. Wish we had more time for Q&A, but Scott, thank you, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
buddy.
I told you Monday, this business is paying me back way more ways than just figuring out how to make some money right now. I'm truly blessed to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we feel the same way, buddy. Appreciate you. And Shawn, big gratitude, man, for you. Thank you so much for pouring into the team. You guys know how to get in touch with us if there's anything you need. But I would say I love what Scott says. We can't do it for you. Show up, dive into the training, get better, watch what happens. It's gonna make it a good week. Appreciate you, boys.